On the 19th of August 2022, we had our AGM in Ambilikai. The keynote speaker was Brother Castelino Vincent. And in his keynote speech, which was really thought-provoking, he gave experiences, some of them which we could apply for our own society. As I was thinking over some of these incidences and what Brother Castelino managed, or rather how he managed some of those social problems that we encounter, especially when we deal with large number of students who come from various backgrounds and those that come from marginally poor backgrounds. It was really thought-provoking of about how he handled these issues. And deep in my mind, I was just thinking how some of these principles and what he did, how it could be applied to our situation. So this is just a start of a series of thought processes which should not end with me, but should be thought by all the members of the committee who heard that speech and take out something useful so that we could practice it on our own students for the benefit of them. If you recollect, he was talking about boys from the street who are picked up, and they, in the initial days, they simply want to go back to the street. Even if you give them food, you give them some basic comforts, at the end of the day, when you put them into some kind of a regimentation, they move away. They have to go back to the street. So they allow them to do that until the time they come and go, and finally they decide, no, this life is better than the life on the street, and it would be, they decide to stay longer in the Don Bosco homes for these kind of people. So he talked about two things in particular which really provoked me. One of the things was, he said that the students must be involved in whatever decisions you take, and if you want an experiment to be successful, you have to make sure that the students are involved. We just can't make decisions and let it go and hope for our students to follow what we think is right. I think that's a very valid point. So he said two things, one particularly regarding the food that you serve there. Not all would eat because they had their own choices, and food was not good enough for many of them. So what he did was to call all the boys, and he said, now this is my budget for the month, plan out what you want to eat. And everybody said chicken biryani. That is what most people would say. So he said, okay, put the chicken biryani, but then the chicken biryani you can feed them with the budget allotted 2 days continuously, and for 25 to 26 days you have to go hungry. They understood that concept. Finally they came to a decision where they were able to plan their food. What a lovely exercise. And he says after that there was no wastage. So similarly, I think I'm not recollecting the second part of that exercise of, it is again like, once the children accept the fact that they belong to Don Bosco home for these people, when it is time to put them into some institutions, like some of them are intelligent and they want to be doing studies, and that could be English medium and Telugu medium. Others would have, they would be creative and they could become carpenters or a plumber or whatever, It is, or a tailor. And these decisions also were made by the elders. And they said, no, you're good for learning in English medium, and you send the child there. And similarly for the Telugu medium, or some for the carpentry. And then he said that the dropout rates were very, very high. The simple reason that the students were not involved. And once the students were told what exactly they had to, where they had to go, by giving them the choice that you have 5 institutions where you could go, and these are the trade options, carpentry, whatever, and these are the places you could go, they would select. And then it was found that large number of children would not drop out. How do we apply it for our institutes, especially the educational institutions I'm talking of, say the engineering college or even the polytechnics? One of the things that we constantly fight is we get X number of students, say we get 200 students for a particular batch, but these children, they don't come to college. They don't want to come to college. There's a large absenteeism. Every day only a few percentage of people come, and the rest prefer to stay at home. I thought this is the target group that we have to focus upon. And talking and listening to Brother Castelino, what I was thinking was whether we could form little groups of people who could go to their homes and reason with them as to why they are not able to come to the college. So far, I think that experiment has been lacking. It's only your attendance rolls where you say absent or present. That's all they do. And perhaps even if you try to educate them, that is not being done properly. It is done in a very casual manner, methodical manner that we read about in books. I think it's time that we are able to form some group, go to these people and listen to their stories as to why they are not coming. Some of them may be lazy and their parents are not knowing. It would look that they are going to college every day, but they are going somewhere else to play. So the take out from that particular student who is not coming to college as to why he is not coming. What are the reasons that he is finding his studies so boring? I think between the parent and that particular student, we should be able to resolve and solve this issue so that at least some percentage of children who would otherwise be absent would come back. And then, of course, focusing on the ones that who doesn't want to study. How do you make them to study? So you put a series of questions, talk to them as to what they want. Why is it that they feel some subject is so boring, and in what way they want that subject to become interesting? So we have to put all our thinking caps, evolve a program, and then work towards a time when we find that these programs are actually beginning to show results. So I was thinking that perhaps once this initial experiment is successful for bringing the children who are permanently or regularly absent back to college, what would happen is those reformed students could themselves become agents or committees who would go along with, say, one lecturer or whoever it may be. It doesn't matter whether you have to be some member of the school. We have so many people who could volunteer and be part of this group. Because you don't have to be an engineer to tell people, come to college. It could be some well-wisher, somebody who would be able to go along with these people and canvas. So this is my idea number 1. The idea number 2 has got no relation with Brother Castelino or anybody, but I was just thinking about the increased cost of transportation for even going. People will say, we want a car to go and meet these parents or the children who are not coming to classes regularly. I was wondering whether the society would be able to buy a cycle rickshaw, okay, and brighten it up, paint it nicely, okay, cycle rickshaw, so that you use your own energy, cycle, go to that place. This cycle rickshaw could be used to bring provisions, which now the car is being used or a vehicle is being used. So I think we have to go back to the basics, and one of the first thing is, we are buying so many cars, so many things. Why don't we buy a cycle rickshaw and use it? We should not be ashamed of riding a cycle rickshaw, including our secretary Tom Cherian could show the way to do that. So this is a small message I wanted this committee of ours or society to hear my thoughts, and I hope it will provoke some other people so that we come to some kind of a conclusion as to take advantage of Brother Vincent Castelino. Some part of it, of a speech, I think we have to bring it alive in our society so that we don't hang our head in shame when we meet him next time. This is George Marshall signing off.